that you're gonna look great. But if you wanna stay in shape, well, you better hit the GymWits.
That's right, man. Tell 'em.
Welcome to the GymWits podcast. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, aka Chef Sonic.
And we are the GymWits. So I hear you're trolling people on YouTube now, in the YouTube comment sections.
I would prefer the term policing.
All right. You're the YouTube comment police?
Yes. Now, I don't do it for anything that matters. I stay out of politics or social issues.
Right, anything that matters. Because those don't matter.
Right.
Politics and social issues don't matter.
No, I stay out of anything that matters.
You stay out. Oh, okay, sorry.
Did I say that doesn't matter?
I don't know. No, I think you said it right. I got it wrong.
No, I stay out of important things.
Okay.
So I just do, things mostly regarding martial arts and traditional martial artists and people's warped views on things. It's become a good waste time hobby of mine. I don't know why it's so much fun.
Because trolling it can be fun. Getting reaction out of people.
Here's the thing. I'm not trolling because I'm not making false claims. I'm not doing it just for the sake. I mean, I am trying to ruffle feathers, but I'm debating with people. I'm not saying false things or just making a claim, going on, and saying, Hillary Clinton should be thrown in jail or Trump should be assassinated just to get people riled up. I'm, talking about regarding other people's comments.
So you're achieving the same end. You're right. So you're achieving the same end in that what a troll does to a normal person, you're doing to a delusional person, if that makes sense. So like somebody who's kind of delusional or, it kind of has a higher opinion of themselves and their abilities, or they're inflating their own accomplishments, they are very sensitive when people call them out or or often they're very sensitive. So by using rational and logical arguments with that delusional person, you're getting the same reaction that a troll would get out of a normal person. So you're like an inverted troll, basically, if that makes any sense. But you're still, the reason why it's the same as a troll is you're still taking some pleasure in that because you realize the person's delusional and he's not worth your time.
I don't think people are delusional. I know when people are like people that are like crazy that are just so I don't even bother. I like to have a good debate.
Some people misrepresent themselves or embellish their accomplishments or can take I think that about myself all the time. Like I could tell you a life story of mine that if I embellish in the right way, I can make you think I was amazing. Yeah. But I try to tell things in the right way, in the right story, because out of context, I can make myself sound way, way more accomplished and better than I actually am. The difference is, for me, I'm kind of self-aware, and I don't want to come across as trying to do that, because at the end of the day, people will find out anyway. And where I think this person and often people, they go the other route where they really try to embellish on their accomplishments. And so in doing so, when you call them out, they get very defensive, and you do take some pleasure in getting that reaction out of them.
I don't know why.
No, I would get it too. I totally get it. There's something to be. I think it's a human thing to pull people back to earth. That's why we, often take pleasure when you see especially somebody you don't like, but you see it also. Some people just don't like anybody that's successful, but that. When you see someone crash down to earth, it's kind of nice to see, especially if they kind of are somebody you don't like or have a personality that's,
It's interesting. I've never taken pleasure in seeing someone fail unless they're like a bad person. Mm-hmm. Then it's like if they've done bad things, then it's like, oh well, they got. I still don't get pleasure in it. It's like, well, that's what
not pleasure, but I think there is a sense of justice or
a sense of justice.
I guess, which is it's just human. I don't think any of us, no matter how good we try to make ourselves seem, is.
Oh, I'm no saint.
We're all kind of guilty of that to some extent. I think just some more than others. I think.
Yep.
But certainly, if there's somebody who I feel, has gotten. Who's too cocky or too, I think more for me is attitude. If they're too arrogant or they're full of themselves or they put themselves on a pedestal, it's nice to see them come down. But I want to see them come down for themselves. Like I want to see them come down and realize the error of their ways and make adjustments. I don't want to see it just to take pleasure in seeing it. But it's still just, I think it's a human thing.
The sort of Zen way to look at it is you can't convince someone of of anything they don't want to believe. So you're just wasting your energy doing it. But I'm not really trying to convince. I know that not. It's just I just enjoy these sort of debates over meaningless things.
Yeah. That's fair. You don't enjoy debates over meaningful things.
Well, no, I enjoy it if I'm talking with someone who can make good points. That's a sort of different thing.
Yeah.
You know, I actually enjoy talking those things.
Yeah.
If people have good points and are willing to listen, like this, I know is all just.
But also, I think in this you
ridiculous.
can be more condescending, a little bit more of a dick. Where if you're debating something meaningful, even if it's politics, like if I'm debating politics or with somebody who, I'm not going to debate politics with somebody who I don't. At least value their opinion or their perspective because it's just not worth it because you're talking past each other. But you can have somebody who you have diametrically opposed political views, but if they're a reasonable person and are willing to engage in a real dialogue, you can actually have a good conversation. You just have to approach that different from the kind of troll on YouTube or the mark, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna do. We typically do Ask the Trainer questions at the end of each episode, but we're just getting kind of backlogged with some Ask the Trainer questions. So I figured,
which is awesome.
Yeah, which is good. No, it's great. Keep the questions coming in. Again, as I've said before, the more questions we get, then we just have to dedicate episodes to answering to answering the questions once in a while because we do have a lot, and I feel bad because we have a couple questions and a couple really nice comments too that I thought would be nice to share that we just haven't been able to get to. With the mix of interviews, and we typically don't do Ask the Trainer during interviews. I don't know why. I think it's just laziness on my part. But we've been a little backlogged, so we're gonna try to get some of these questions out of the way. They're good questions, and I apologize for the wait. But definitely keep sending your questions in. They will get answered. It just sometimes takes a little bit longer. But we're going to try to change that a little bit if we keep getting questions in at the rate that we've been getting them. So anyway, let's get to the first one.
Okay, so our first question is from Ben, and he says, Dear Ryan and Justin, hey guys, first off, this is a short background. I have been off and on with the gym my entire life. I played high school football at an average level. I am a former Marine, and currently I am employed as a garbage man. I have been physical and semi-athletic my entire life. Kind of reminds me of me. Unfortunately, between a mixture of a good marriage and both of us being good cooks and multiple traumatic life events, I became an emotional eater. Boredom, disappointment, stress, etc. all contributed to a massive weight gain over 6 or 7 years ago. I began weight loss early August of this year and am currently 36 pounds into my 100-pound goal. I started at 328. I have given myself 1 year to reach 230 and believe I can do so with consistency. However, I do not want to be a small guy and I need plenty of strength for work and hobbies. I enjoy lifting and various other exercises. I'm a fairly strong guy and wish to keep that up. I'm not looking to hit low body fat numbers, but I want to get back to an aesthetic build. My question for you guys is, given my history and current weight, do you think 230 is a reasonable goal for a decent body fat? Or with my size and a good weightlifting routine, is it possible to reach a lower body fat at a higher weight? Sorry it was so long, but you guys preach information is key. I listen to your podcast while I drive at work and while I do cardio. You help me keep motivated, and I love your back and forth and different opinions. Thank you and stay healthy, Ben. Thank you, Ben, for writing in. Very good question and great information that you've provided, and we'll certainly do our best to help you out.
Yeah. So one thing I would say right off that, for a lot of the Ask the Trainer, like being an avid podcast listener, and plenty of podcasts do similar things where they answer listener questions, and we definitely have longer questions. But I think it's really important because we need that information because it helps getting this kind of background information on somebody. Versus if it's a science podcast or whatever, pretty straightforward. This it really does help to have the background, gives us some valuable information when we're kind of answering. So, definitely, it's perfectly fine to send whatever information, definitely helps us. So,
one thing I'm wondering off the bat, Ben, is how tall and how naturally big you are, because does he say that here? Did I miss something? Because he wants to reach 230 pounds, right? But 230 pounds for someone who's 5'8" is way different than someone who's 6'4" and has a big build.
Okay,
correct?
So yeah, but that part
that matters too much.
I'm not as concerned about that when answering this question, I would say the first thing, assuming that you're not too old,
Yep.
A good kind of measure or kind of benchmark to consider is where you were at your, let's say you have your peak. So if you're former Marine, so as a out at your peak in the Marines, what was your weight at? Now, I'm not saying that should be your goal weight because your life at that point is completely different. You're younger. It's all physical. Just everything surrounding the world is going to be different, at that point in your life than now. So I'm not saying that, but that should be a measure of, okay, let's say that was when you were in the best shape of your life, how far off from that is realistic? So let's say, and we don't always want to use weight as the goal, but let's say if the weight there was 230, then sure, 230 is a reasonable goal. It might take a lot to get there, but if the weight there was, let's say 180 or 210, kind of think of your goal weight as something in relation to where you were in the Marines, and maybe give yourself 10 pounds or 15 pounds leeway, because again, at that point in your life is much different from now. So to answer the question, there's no reason why 230 isn't a reasonable goal. That I don't think there's any height, unless you're 6'8" or 7 feet tall. I don't see 230. Yeah,
230 sounds like
an unreasonable goal. But again, I would consider it around again where you were when you were in the best shape of your life, and how far off from that you want to be. Now, one other thing to consider is whatever condition you feel was the best in your life, what changes would it take in your current life to make that happen? And if it's unrealistic to make that happen, which is likely for most people, again, how close can you get to that? And that's kind of where you can set your goal weight. But in general, and if having lost 36, that's great. And as the key is consistency. So that you're doing this over a period of time, and that you're not, don't stay so focused on the 230 that you forget about all the stops in between. So so if you started at 238, so you're down below 328. So you're down below 300 now. So don't forget, 290 and 280 and 270. Don't neglect that with your mind being on the 230. So it's kind of shorter incremental goals are always good to have, in addition to having a longer term goal, just to keep yourself, motivated and focused.
So now, an interesting question, and I'm sure you get this a lot. Even though now he's around in the 290s, he still needs to lose 60 some odd pounds, right? Which is a significant amount of weight. And as we know, the further you get down, a little bit harder it is. And now he's sort of implying he does not want to lose muscle mass.
Yeah.
Right, that he wants it to be fat, or that he would actually be satisfied if he gained muscle, was a little bit heavier, but still had the aesthetic build that he wanted.
Yeah.
So he's going to still have to lose weight, but he enjoys lifting. We've talked about the losing, gaining muscle, lifting weights versus losing fat. What I know everyone's a little different, but what would you suggest that he focus more on? Focus on lifting, or maybe cut down on the lifting, do more cardio? Like if the diet, because if you can't really gain while you're losing, maybe should he focus trying to get to that 230 and then add muscle? What do you think is the best strategy?
So I'm gonna assume that you're at a weight where you feel like there's still fat to lose. So that I'm operating on that assumption. So, and I guess a significant amount, because if the goal is 100 pounds, that's not, it's not losing 100 pounds because you want to lose 100 pounds of muscle. That means that there's a good deal of fat that you want to lose. I mean, just in general and based on what he wrote. So my thought would be definitely the weight loss should still be a focus. So now the good thing, and the other reason why it's better to do kind of longer term steady weight loss, so you're consistently losing 1 to 3 pounds a week, is also that you don't want to lose too much muscle. The kind of more rapid you lose weight, the higher percentage of kind of lean weight you're going to lose. So if you do it slowly, you can lose a higher percentage of fat weight and maintain more muscle, over the course of those 100 pounds than if you do it over a very short period of time. So to give you an example, let's say you lose the 100 pounds in 2 months. it might. I'm throwing these numbers out there, so don't pay attention to the actual numbers. 'Cause I'm just throwing it out there to give some context. But let's say you would lose, if you do it really short term, you might lose 50% fat and 50% lean weight, which is not really ideal because you're losing a really good deal of lean weight. Versus if you take a longer period of time, you might lose 75% fat weight and 25% lean weight. So again, those numbers are meaningless. Don't pay attention. I'm just using it as an example of losing it faster will cause a higher percentage of loss of lean weight, which you don't want to lose.
Just to sort of clear that up, lean weight is muscle.
Not
basically. Did we talk about this?
No,
It's not.
Lean weight's not fat weight. So because there's lots going on.
Not fat weight. Not fat weight. Sorry. Correct.
Yeah. So
you can't really lose bone. Well, I guess you can, right?
You can lose. There's lots you can lose. But I'm just saying that what you want to lose is the fat weight, and then that's just how we divide it up. Like when we're dealing with weight loss, is just about your because there's not just fat and muscle. There's bone. There's tendons. There's all kinds of stuff, connective tissue. There's all kinds of stuff. So you've got So you just have your lean weight, which is your non-fat weight, and we just divide it up like that. So nice, keep it nice and simple. So you don't want to lose. You want to minimize the lean weight loss and you want to maximize the fat loss. And the best way to do that is to do it over a longer period of time with more consistency. So if the goal is maintaining muscle, I would still focus on the weight loss. But as we've talked about before, the weight loss the diet is the most important thing when it comes to the weight loss. So, you're going to be more effective in tackling the weight loss goal by being focused on the diet than you will, focusing more on cardio or weight training. If the muscle is really important, then definitely keep up your weight training routine, and you can keep it up at a good, at a good lifting rate. You do want to maintain cardio. It does help, and it's important for your overall health. So you don't want to eliminate cardio for weight training, but you can keep focusing on weight training to maintain your muscle, maintain your strength as much as possible, while just making sure that your diet is such that you're still at a caloric deficit. But again, not so much. And we're gonna do we're gonna do an episode on we've talked about this kind of ad nauseum, but to do maybe a little more on the science of what happens when you rapidly lose weight. So I would say maintain your weightlifting, keep the diet structured, and you should be fine. It's just the goal of 230 could be great. You might get to 230 and think, you know what, I still need to lose weight. You may get to 230 and think this is perfect. So, a lot of it happens, based on, a lot of it's trial and error and based on how you feel. But, I hope that answers the question. And obviously, as usual, if there's any follow-ups, we're more than happy to answer anything else.
Let us know when you get to the goal, or if you get stuck. Just please write in and we'll do our best to help. So, thank you, Ben. Right, our next question comes from Tyler, and he writes, I am new to fitness in general. I'm in decent health. I'm fairly active, but I want to change my diet, start working out, etc. But there is so much info on the internet, and I don't know which websites are accurate or helpful. Are there any magazines or websites that you know of that would be good to learn about exercise and nutrition, besides the GymWits, of course? I'm binge listening to old episodes. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast.
All right. That's a great question. It's tough because that's one of the issues. It's why part of why we have this podcast is that there is so much information. And the problem is that there are plenty of amazing sources and there are plenty of crappy sources, and I won't be able to go through any realistic percentage of either in answering this. So I'm just going to tell you kind of some of the sources I go to. So I won't go to the more technical sources, obviously, because you're being new to fitness. You just need people who can say, here's what we think, and it's backed up by science and kind of trust it. So I'll tell you some of the sources I go to, but always do your own, do your research, and a lot of it is kind of doing your own work, and you start to kind of learn the difference between the honest, real people and the kind of charlatans out there. But a rule of thumb always is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But I'll give you my resources. So one I go to, which is a little bit more on the technical side, but we talked about it when we did the DIY episode, is exrx.net. So that's a great source for lots of fitness information, a little bit more geared towards trainers and professionals, but you can get lots of great information there, studies, links to different books, exercise lists. So that's one source I go to. Another good one is bodybuilding.com. So they're not the actual site. The site is what it is, but the forum is really good. So there are lots of people on the forum, and number of different categories. And so any questions that you have relating to nutrition, exercise, supplements, those are all, there are lots of people that will be really helpful in answering your questions there. So it's not, so that's another good resource that I've gone to, times when I, needed help with something, because you get real people who've been doing this for a long time. So I would say bodybuilding.com is definitely another really good resource to use if using their forums. Again, it's a little bit more active. You have to actually go on and ask questions, but even if you do like a search, if there's something you're looking for, if you just do a little search, you can also find answers to questions without even having to post it yourself.
Now, what about making sure that Tyler has the right form for exercises, especially if he wants to start doing weight training? We know how important form is to not only maximize what you're doing, but to avoid injury. Do you recommend maybe seeing a trainer once or twice?
Yeah,
full time.
Well, yeah, but if you're specifically looking for resources, I would again go back to exrx.net. Has some good tutorials on the exercises.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And when it comes to that, form is so specific. We talked about it last week or on last episode that we recorded. At least I don't know when this will be released, but it's unless you have somebody there. It's kind of challenging. Some people have great form, some people have terrible form, and even with the trainer, some people have bad form. So that can be it's a little bit person specific, but you can definitely use that site to find some of the core movements. Even YouTube, if you're looking for the basics for a squat, there are a lot of great things. Even just doing a YouTube search. Again, sometimes you just have to make sure. All right, like if you're looking, let's say for squat form, you probably want to do 4 or 5 videos, because you'll start to see the key points that make sense. And then if there is 1 or 2 bad ones, you'll notice, oh wait, that doesn't make any sense because that's nothing like the others. But again, it takes just a little bit more work if you're doing a search like that where you don't have, I'm just saying, do blind YouTube search, and you could find great stuff or you could find some crazy stuff. So it's kind of difficult to say. The other good resource is strengthandconditioningresearch.com, and they have a good forum. So again, this gets a little bit more technical, but there's lots of great information there. And if you go on the Facebook group, there are a lot of great people on it that you can get great questions and stuff answered there. Livestrong actually has some really good stuff. So if you wanted, livestrong.com has some really great tutorials, information. I've done a few videos for them, so you can find some stuff there. They get a little clickbaity with some of the information on Livestrong, so you do need to be a little bit careful with that. Some of the, not that anything's bad, but they push out a large volume of stuff, so some of it is not as good as the other. But for a novice or somebody just getting into it, there is some really good stuff on livestrong.com. And even MyFitnessPal, if you have the app, there's some great stuff on there. And also when it comes to diet, you can find a lot of stuff through MyFitnessPal, through the app, and then through their email list. We'll try to bounce this over to Tony to see what resources she says are good. There are tons of magazines. I would say, they're all, the problem with magazines and websites to a large extent is they're trying to sell you. They're trying to sell advertising. So they have to constantly give you something new. And so even though the fitness industry kind of evolves at a fairly slow pace, they've got to give you something new to keep you buying the magazine or keep hits on the website. So often, you'll get sites like Men's Journal's pretty good. Men's Health is fine. Muscle and Fitness.
This new workout.
You kind of have to be
building muscle in 2 weeks or something like that.
Nothing's new. It's a lot of stuff is rehashed.
Sure.
But for the most part, they're not going to give you. They're not going to give you
spice up your workout. You always see stuff like that.
Yeah, they're not going to give you terrible information, but it's going to be rehashed. A lot of the stuff is rehashed, and in general with fitness, that's just what it is. There's only so much that we really know, and there's a lot that's still on the it could go one way or another. There's studies that say one thing and then studies that say another thing, and it's not kind of settled science in fitness. So a lot's up in the air. But like I said, those are some of the resources that I use that I would say would be best to go through. But otherwise, a lot of it is just doing, when you start doing the research yourself, you start to notice the similarities and where, if you do a search, let's say for best, supplement for energy, very quickly you're going to find All right, these seem backed up by science. There's good information, and there's a common thread between some of these sources. And then, oh wait, this one's just trying to sell me a product, and that one, that's just crazy and out there. So some of it is on you to just kind of, when there's something you want to, if there's something you want to learn about, do the research, because there's tons of information out there. It's just kind of being able to parse through it a little bit. But again, try to use those resources. I'll try to leave a link in the show notes to those sites, and hope that helps.
Yeah, I would also recommend not getting bogged down by it.
Yeah.
That don't let it overwhelm you,
Yeah.
because it is overwhelming.
It's easy to fall into the rabbit hole. The simpler the better. One other thing, if any trainers, strangely enough, or maybe not, I guess, we have a lot of trainers that listen to the show. So if you're a trainer and you have resources that you swear by, maybe specifically for a beginner or novice in exercise, definitely send it our way, and we'll also post that as well. More than happy to do that if you do have that. So yeah, there's a call to action for any trainers that listen to us. So let's take a minute to talk about Freshly.com, our newest sponsor.
So pretty much in any industry, people will tell you, if you want something really good, fast, and cheap, you can usually have 2 out of the 3. Unfortunately, I found when it comes to food, you often get 0 out of 3.
That's true. No, and actually, as having tried Freshly for a bit, I can definitely tell you it really is 3 out of 3, and it definitely resolves a few problems that I have. So I've talked ad nauseum on this show about my issues with food, and part of my problem is that I spend too much money doing it because I don't have the time to prepare food for myself. I don't even have time to use a service that sends me all the ingredients and I make it. So I don't have time for that, and so I end up spending way too much money. So effectively eliminating the cheap part. And then I also end up making poor choices, constantly. Again, when you're left to your own devices, it's easy. I'm not alone in this, making bad choices when it comes to food.
And when you do cook, it's like you have to schedule. It's a whole night, and it can be fun, but it's like forget about doing anything else that night.
Exactly. So Freshly for me actually resolves a lot of this. And as I'm looking for the solution. So Freshly is a meal delivery service, and for as little as $8.99 a meal, you get everything sent to you. It's already made. It's already packaged. It's prepared by a chef. They're nutritionists on staff to make sure that it has the appropriate ingredients. It's made healthy and right. It's not frozen. And it really is. You throw it in the microwave, and 3 minutes later it's done. I put it in the toaster oven, and it works just as well for me. But it's a really, really a great service with some awesome food.
Now, someone might be saying $8.99 a meal. There must be some very cheap ingredients.
No, it's quality ingredients. And just a wide variety of meals on the menu. Steak peppercorn I tried was great. There's raised rosemary pork that was really good. I tried
the turkey shepherd's pie.
That was
was
awesome.
Good, yeah,
the meatloaf with cauliflower mash. There are also vegetarian options. So if you eat vegetarian or vegan, there's no added refined sugars. If you have celiacs, it's gluten-free, it's peanut-free if you have any allergies. So they really, go out of their way to make it accessible to a wide variety of people.
Ask anyone who knows me, and they'll all tell you how much I love food. Really good, awesome, tasting, delicious food. Of course, I'm also into this whole fitness and health thing, and it's very difficult for me to eat something just because it's healthy if it doesn't taste good to me. And I know a lot of people are like that. So finding something that's both really tasty and healthy is like finding the Holy Grail.
Yeah, often healthy foods might taste good for being healthy foods, but they don't taste good when overall, compared to overall. But the Freshly meals are legitimately delicious, and each meal comes packaged with an ingredients list, so you know what you're getting, and you can see right there in front of you that it's healthy, good for you, and it tastes great as a bonus.
Now, one thing Ryan and I were adamant about when we started this podcast is that we weren't going to take sponsorship from just anyone. We had to really believe in the products and services. So now we want to reward our listeners for making a purchase that we think is going to be great for them.
Yes. And I really believe in Freshly. So if you want to order from Freshly, we got a great deal for you. It's really simple. When you go to Freshly.com to make your order, at checkout, use our promo code GymWits, all caps. So
Should be able to remember that.
GYMWITS, if you don't know how to spell the name, which some people spell it with a Z, so that is important to point out. So GymWits, GYMWITS. At checkout, you get $40 off your first 2 orders. It's free shipping on every order. So you get 6 meals cooked by Freshly for $39.
Pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, so if you want a great meal and you want to put very little time into it,
And not too much money either.
and not too much money, go to freshly.com.
Oh my God, there's like 6 or 7 fires going on. And my studio is not completely soundproofed, so we have to keep on stopping every time a crazy fire engine comes around.
Yeah.
Really annoying. Sorry if you guys hear something in the background. Normally, it doesn't get in, but it's just
it does.
crazy out there.
It gets in.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that, guys. I have a little more soundproofing to do.
Yeah.
All right.
I know
so
you bought all the stuff, but like it's just hanging out in the same spot.
some of it's hanging
as
out.
it's been
right?
for like
well, you know what?
months.
Look, it's very hard to soundproof completely. You can
Yeah.
sound. You can put up reflective panels that help.
Yeah.
Absorb sound that's in here to make the quality of the recording better. But as far as getting outside noise from getting in, that's a whole other deal.
It adds to the raw feel of the podcast.
It does.
Like
it does.
we're just not too polished. Not
We're not too
I'm kidding.
polished. We're not too polished. And it's the proof that we live in the city, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we live in New York.
We don't like
So we make no apologies for the fire engines and the horns and the
we're not
and the
posers like
and
living
all that
somewhere,
stuff.
in the boondocks. We live right here in New York City, so we're honest about everything we say because we live in New York City for just that reason alone. Right?
Exactly.
All right. So our next question is from Jonathan, and Jonathan writes, "Great show. Listening to the backlog now. Assuming you have already discussed designing a full body routine. Example, upper body today, core tomorrow. What would you guys do to group/rest muscles as a weekly routine?"
All right, so it depends a little bit, as usual, on timing and goals. As I always say, should like come up with like a code that like just like a 2-word thing that says that. So anytime I have to say it, it's just like orange, and that's it. Sorry, Justin has an amp that has orange, so it's orange rocker. So that's the first thing I saw. So I'll just say orange rocker, and I would just expect that the listener knows what I'm saying. Orange rocker. So to answer that question, it really varies a lot. But I would say I'm just going to assume that you have a normal amount of time to go to the gym. What I used to do, there are a few different ways. So what I used to do is I would group the chest and the back together. Those are the larger groups. Those require the most effort. And so I would put them together just as my that was going to be when I would lift weights. That was my heavy day for the upper body. I would group the biceps and triceps together. I would do the shoulders as one day because the shoulders, as a muscle, it does a lot. And so there are a lot of movements and a lot of exercises that will tackle the different ranges and the different movements in the shoulder. So the shoulders would be its own day, and then legs would be its own day for me. And then, abs or core, I would sprinkle in, here and there a couple days a week just doing core work. But I'm not a huge fan of ab work, excessive ab work, I should say. I'm not a huge fan of it. I do a lot of core stuff and a lot of balance and dynamic movements and stuff, but that would be how I did it, which is basically you hit each muscle group basically once a week. Now, and that's, to me, that works as kind of a full body routine, but that also means that you got to have chest and back, arms, shoulders, legs. I'm not missing anything, right? So you have to have at least 4 days a week. And, and then if you want to mix in cardio and core work or whatever, you kind of can sprinkle that in however you want. So that was my routine. Now, if you're doing more of a bodybuilding thing, you may need to do muscle groups more than once a week, in which case, you might have to mix, do 3 things together. So maybe you do, chest, biceps and triceps, or, whatever. So you can mix things up a little bit. You can do like pushing and pulling, which again is chest and back. You do most pushing stuff with the chest, pulling with the back. Biceps, triceps, curling and extending. So there are ways to group things. You might do like chest and triceps, since the triceps are generally used in movements with the chest, and you do back and biceps, since the biceps are usually used when you're doing the back. and then do shoulders on its own day or do shoulders and legs, and then you can reset the whole thing. Again, that requires maybe 5 or 6 days a week, but you can mix things up like that as well. So if it's just full body, you could also do like a circuit. So you, instead of doing really separating things by muscle groups, you may do 3 days a week where you do like a full body circuit one day and then do a full body circuit 2 days later and then do another full body circuit 2 days later. So that's another option. So really they're unlimited options. It really depends. I think if the goal is more about building muscle, you're probably going to need to do more days a week of each muscle group. If the goal is more about full body, you may be able to get away with just attacking each muscle group once a week. It also depends on how you respond to it. Some people respond better once. I was always better doing once a week. Other people responded better doing multiple times a week. So it really varies a little bit. As far as how you want to do it, there's really no wrong way unless you have a very specific goal. So I would say if we're not answering this appropriately, if there's a more specific goal, definitely shoot us an email with maybe a little bit more specifics and we can give you a little bit more as far as, what would work for you in your full body routine.
Well, I'm pulling up the workout that you designed for me, which I thought was fantastic. Now, it was heavily based on weightlifting and I definitely gained muscle. See, I can't seem to.
What was the name of the episode?
The episode, designing a new workout plan for Chef Sonic.
Okay,
that might just be bonus material.
Yeah, it's in the app. If I did design it. If you have the iPhone app, it's there. If you don't, we can post it as well. Question:
Here it is. Just to give an idea of what it was like. It was basically 2 days of lifting 2 times a week and 1 day of interval type exercises. Okay. So, like for instance, day 1 we started with a deadlift, then the dumbbell press, barbell bench press, cable fly. So it was chest and and heavy lift. Did we do and squats? Well, so it was kind of like doing deadlifts and chest. And squats, deadlifts, and chests was the main focus of that day.
Well, listen to the episode because there might have been I forget the method to the madness as far as designing that for you. But if you go there, that workout's there. But just do listen to the episode to make sure that it makes sense for you too. Because I know we did the episode where I asked you questions and put it together for you. So there may have been a reason why I did all that. But just designing Chef Sonic's workout. There is a PDF with the thing. You cracked your screen?
No, this is a screen protector.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what's wrong with your screen? Okay, because you just got that new phone. So,
it's just a screen protector, which
cool.
I need a new one. I'm debating whether to go to the Verizon store and
to get a new
one
screen
of those
protector.
Screen protector for $25 or get it off of Walmart for $1.99.
How often do you drop your phone?
A lot. Not a lot, but it's just often weird.
Because I would get a case here. GymWits advice on iPhone protection. So I have not used the screen protector in years, but I always get like a really heavy duty strong case, and I drop my phone not all the time but fairly regularly. I don't have any scratches, so I would just do it without the screen protector, but do not send me a bill.
Well, I'm just gonna get one of those screen protectors from Amazon for a couple of dollars instead of spending $30 for the same thing at Verizon store.
But they're not that good.
I don't think so. So then you replace them.
Yeah,
right? They just last you just better a piece of plastic than my screen.
I guess
that's how I view it.
All right. So we answered that question, right?
Yes. Okay. I think very, very well.
All right.
Too.
So next we
and
have
Jonathan. Thank you for writing in.
All right. So next we have Karina. So we'll just say that this answer references Tony, but I'll explain why I thought it would also be appropriate for us. And again, we'll try to ask Tony next time to see if she has anything else to add to the answer. So you can ask.
So Karina asks, "Hello guys. This is more of an Ask the Dietitian question for Tony, smiley face. I have just started training for a sprint triathlon and have started doing a 7K run followed by a 1,000 meter swim twice a week. I found that my performance, and especially the problem of getting stitches, was dependent on what I ate the night before and in the morning. Do you have any tips on what to eat the night before and in the morning of the race or run to increase performance and to avoid those stitches? What's a stitch?
You've never had that like little pain in the side, like you're exercising too much, you had too much water, and
is that a cramp?
So here's the weird thing is nobody there's not really sure what causes it or why. So again, we'll save this for Tony as well, because I think there's a diet component. But the thing with the stitches in the side is that nobody really knows why they happen or what causes it. So there's some ideas as far as what to do. So again, the reason why I said is there's some physical things to consider with it. So one is kind of controlling your breathing is one area that can help avoid that. Another thing is hydration, but not overhydration. So you remember when you were a kid, you drank too much water and then you ran and exercised. You ever felt that? Like,
sure.
That happens. Like you almost overdo it.
Cramp.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are a couple things to consider. Again, make sure you're breathing. If you do start to feel it, if you feel it coming on, stretching can also help. So that's another thing that might help to stop it. And then another thing that seems to be helpful with stitches is working on the core and specifically the obliques. So the muscles on the side. So strengthening the obliques seems to help. Better core strength seems to help. But there doesn't seem to be, at least nobody knows for sure what the cause is, and even if it's nutrition related or not. So, it may, I'd be interested to know if you kept a journal. Like what you might want to do is keep a journal of what you're eating, let's say the day before, what you eat that morning, and when it starts, how soon into your workout it starts, because it may be relating to just the exertion. It might be related to the food, or maybe it's related to how much water you had before, or relating to your breathing, or how soon before you ate. Like there are a lot of there are potentially other variables, but again, right now it's kind of like the jury's out. No one really knows what causes it, but and even from personal experience, I tend to find that eating too soon before a workout causes it. Again, drinking too much before or during a workout will cause it to happen. Not being focused on breathing with extreme exertion sometimes will happen. So, those are the things to do. The other thing you do is kind of, press into it almost like a massage. Like if you're feeling that stitch, stretch a little bit, press into it, wait for it to go. Probably not best to fight through it. But unfortunately, like I said, there's not, no one really has the answer to this yet. But we'll talk to Tony and see if she has any answers as far as diet's concerned.
Now, did we release the episode where Tony talks about carb loading and about nutrition for endurance?
Yes, we did.
So, Karina, you may wish to, in the interim to check out the episode on nutrition for endurance. Is that what was the title of it?
Yes.
Nutrition.
Food nutrition for endurance.
Nutrition
training.
for endurance training. Tony talks about the quote carb loading. She also talks about things you can do during. I think she suggests drinking a sports beverage, especially if you're doing something where you're going for a long time to replace salt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So check it out. So maybe that can offer some advice in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
And we'll certainly ask Tony the next time we have her on.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, guys. So I know we have a few more questions and comments, and we're definitely going to get to them in future episodes.
Yeah. We have a couple. We have some really great comments that we'll wanted to get to today, but I think we got through more. We're at 40 minutes in, about what we wanted to get through for an Ask the Trainer episode, and so we're gonna save those maybe for the end of other episodes, or maybe we'll just do another kind of one-off Ask the Trainer next couple weeks. But we have some great comments, some good advice. And some more great questions, but I guess that is it as usual.
Thank you for writing in, guys. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
you keep us going.
Yes. Anyway, all of our stuff is at TheGymWits.com. All of our social media and everything. Please rate us on on Apple Podcasts if you haven't. That really helps us out immensely. So please keep doing that. And that is it. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, aka Chef Sonic, reminding you that truth does not sell.
And we are the GymWits.